had a cold. Senior Tories outraged over accusations of plot to oust Theresa May. With the party still reeling following the chaotic end to the Conservative conference, rumours engulfed Westminster that rebels were preparing an attempt to demand the Prime Minister's departure. And one former minister, Vaizey, broke cover to claim, "I think there will be quite a few people who will now be pretty firmly of the view that she should resign." Others were said to be trying to drum up a delegation to tell Mrs. May she had lost support and should go. But supporters of the Prime Minister were disgusted that some of their cowardly colleagues were questioning her leadership after the mishaps that marred her Conservative conference speech. Mrs. May had struggled through the keynote address on Wednesday with a coughing fit and was targeted by a prankster following a worrying security lapse. Tory MP Nigel Evans said no one with an ounce of humanity would call on the Prime Minister to quit simply because she had a cold. To use that as an excuse to plunge in the knife is deeply sad. These plotters are people who are bitter because they have been sacked from the government. The Prime Minister battled courageously and determinedly to deliver a great speech. These backbench critics need to realize that the real enemy is sitting opposite us in the Commons and behind desks in Brussels. Mrs. May's supporters detected the hand of Europhile Tories in the plotting, noting that Mr. Vaizey had been a key member of the so-called Notting Hill clique around David Cameron and George Osborne. Senior backbencher Peter Bone said, "Not a single Eurosceptic in the party has called on the Prime Minister to resign. This must come from the Europhiles. My view is that Theresa May and her government are getting on with Brexit. We should do nothing to change that." Party sources claimed that up to 30 MPs were ready to urge the Prime Minister to quit, yet Mr. Vaizey was the only one to publicly question her leadership. He said the Tory party conference was a great opportunity to reboot the party and therefore reboot the country, to give it a clear sense of direction, and that didn't happen. "So yes, I am concerned. I am finding it increasingly difficult to see a way forward at the moment, and it worries me." Business Secretary Greg Clark yesterday came to the Prime Minister's defense, insisting she had shown guts and grace in battling through her speech. He told BBC Radio 4's Today program, "A lot of the people who were there in the hall and watching it on TV will have admired, frankly, the guts and the grace the PM showed." One of the things that established itself very clearly was that the view of the party, of both parliamentary colleagues and activists, is that they regard, correctly, the responsibility of the Conservative Party to be effective and cool-headed in government. They have got no patience for distractions from that. And a string of other MPs angrily hit out at the rebels last night. Senior backbencher Mark Pritchard said, "Trying to drum up a delegation of 30 MPs to try and circumvent this process is irregular, cowardly and will ultimately fail. Any minister with premature ambitions needs to put up or shut up and allow the Prime Minister to get on with her day job." Conor Burns, another senior Tory MP, said Theresa May has an important job to do at a critical time for the UK and has my total support in getting on with it. Theresa Coffey, an environment minister, said, "There's nobody better to be leading this nation when we have this challenge over Brexit." Backbencher George Freeman, who heads Mrs. May's policy board, said a leadership challenge risked handing the keys of number 10 to Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn. "What we need to do is focus on sharpening up, smell the coffee from the Corbyn threat," he said. "The cabinet needs to get a grip and debate the issues of the day in the cabinet, not in the media. Comrade Corbyn and Comrade MacDonnell and the new socialist insurrection are waiting for us to fail. We mustn't fail. If we fail, we will not just let the Conservative Party down, we will let the country down." Mrs. May's speech had been seen as a chance to reassert her authority after losing her Tory Commons majority wiped out in the June general election. But the event was dogged by mishaps thanks to the prankster and her persistent cough.